Hello, this is my last message because I'm going back now and I was asked to leave a message and I have to take one back. I have left other messages, of course, but this is the one that we have decided to transmit to the occupants and the inhabitants of this beautiful planet of yours. So blue, so attractive and beautiful. And when I came here, when I first set foot on this planet, it was a terrible surprise. The first inhabitant of your planet, I later found out, was called a camel. I did not know, of course, that it was what you call animal. I thought it was a typical inhabitant of this planet. I understood from the camel that it was tired and very unhappy. I did not know the word unhappy until the people of this planet, who have been looking after me for the last 2 years, told me what it was. Because where I come from, there is no unhappiness, no happiness. We are what we are, and we are always like that. So it was a horrible feeling when I felt the energy of this camel who wanted to drink things and wanted to rest. I walked on and came upon another smaller animal that was communicating, and I felt terrible pain from it. Pain and thirst and fear. I did not know what fear was. It was just an extraordinary sensation I felt within me. You taught me this word and what it is to you. And also you taught me this little animal was called a donkey. And it was in a terrible state. And it was carrying many sacks. And then I saw the third type of inhabitant of your planet. Only 2 legs, this one, and he was beating this donkey and shouting loud words, and from him I felt another new sensation, which later I found to be called anger. And he had fear in him as well, and anger, and many other things that caused me great distress inside me. Well, I felt that something was what you call wrong, because this is again something I do not experience. And I was able to move the stick that the man was beating the donkey with, and he started beating himself, which then gave way to more anger and confusion and fear. So I passed on, and then I came to more inhabitants of your planet, small, 4 legs, which you later told me are called dogs. There were 4 of them, and I felt great hunger and fear from them. And they looked at me, and I felt what? This, again, another strange sensation. I felt rage and fear again, and hunger. They were hungry, and they looked at me, and I was able to send back my own feelings of what you call calm and maybe peace, and walked on. And when I heard behind me noises, I looked back, and the camel was following me with the donkey, and also the dogs were following me, and the man also, but he had stopped beating himself now and was watching me with amazement and wonder. I don't know why that was. Anyway, we walked on a bit more, and a small man came running to the man behind me. And this is another inhabitant, or kind of inhabitant of your planet. And the small man started talking to the bigger man, and the big man got all angry again and mashed his hand against the little man, who started crying, and I felt fear and pain. I had never known this thing called pain before, but it communicated to me in the depths of my essence. And I felt this pain, and again I saw anger mixed with fear on the bigger human, as it is called, I understand now. So I was able to take away the pain and fear from the little man, and he seemed to be much better, and I walked on. And when I looked back, I saw the little man and the big man were now following me with the so-called animals, as I understand it. And then we walked into an area where there were more inhabitants like the man, but also there were some who later I understood were the female kind of inhabitants of man, of the species of man on this planet. For there are many, many, many of them, more than any other kind, except from what I saw were insects and the birds. But the female, they also looked at me with great fear, but not the anger. So I walked on, and they all looked at me and started following me. And then I came into constructions and a structure and a kind of open space. And I walked on, and then I saw a lot of men all in matching clothes, same color and things, running towards me. And they were shouting, and I felt fear and anger again. This seems to dominate this planet. And for this reason, I don't know what it is. And they started shouting at me. I did not know this language very well. This language was taught to me over the years because my friends here told me that this was the most commonly spoken language around the world. And so I can speak it some, but at that time I had no idea why they were making this noise. And then projectiles started coming towards me, which fortunately had no effect on me, and I was able to just continue walking, which made then greater fear rise, greater anger, and all the matching clothes men ran away. I later found out that one of the causes of this fear was the fact that I am not the same size as the normal inhabitants, the human species. I am 3 times as high, some 4 meters, I think it is, something like that. So I understand it, and that they were a little frightened. So I just walked on, and then I found that the females of the species were not so afraid of me, for I had done no harm, and I was followed by the animals and other small men and small females, and they were following me. I don't know why that is. Maybe it was because of something I was doing or not doing, but they were following me, and I liked that feeling I had from them because it was calm. They had no fear. I don't know if I had been able to absorb it or just I wasn't causing them fear, even though obviously the first appearance caused distress. Anyway, I can't go on and on about all my time here, except that as I went on, more and more men in the same clothes, the same colors, started arriving in big machines, and they started launching and firing projectiles at me, which again had no effect on me, which caused them even more distress and made them run away, at which time I was able to accept the hospitality of some of the humans, and they looked after me in a quiet, secret way, in spite of my different size. It was successful. The humans I was with were not happy. They were full of fear, especially the females. They were very sad. Some had lost the man part of their life, and they told me, fighting against their neighbors in another part of this planet next to them. But all I have met since I've been here of words and feelings that I can only describe now as hate and fear and passion, mixed in with all kinds of other things, for not everybody is that. And there is this thing that we do not know also called love, for we all are. We do not know love and we do not know hate. We are all are. But here, this terrible emotions are so destructive. And they were attacking and being attacked by their neighbors in another country. And they asked me what I could do. So I went to this neighbor and I said to them, could we talk about this destruction? And they were very frightened again. I felt this fear. And they started aiming projectiles at me and trying to destroy me. Many men again in matching clothes. So they were astonished and frightened when they could not destroy me. And because of my size, they get more and more violent. But I went to them and I lowered myself and I tried to speak their tongue. I could not, but they understood some of the language I am speaking now, and we communicated. And I asked them what they were doing, why they were so angry with their neighbors, and they all got more angry with me, as though I was a fool to ask such a question. But they were more interested in why they couldn't destroy me, why they couldn't knock pieces of me off my own body. This they could not understand, and they wanted to try and take me. But I was able to resist this in the gentlest possible way. So then I explained to them that this is not the way we do things, and if it continued, I could only see disaster for this planet. And I returned back to the people who had looked after me when I'd had a sad heart. And I just wanted to say now to you all that what I have seen is going to, I think, one day result in your star not shining anymore upon this planet. Because of all the things that are here of such terrible, terrible consequence. I can hardly respire here. And the air is so thick with terrible things. The atmosphere is so thick. This planet looks so peaceful. And all I can tell you is that in my opinion, in my looking at you all, it is the female of the species that needs to govern this planet. For the females have a different way of looking at things. They do not resort to violence and fighting and destruction. And I think humans have to realize this. Difficult for the males, probably impossible until this whole planet collapses upon itself or explodes, which I hope does not happen. But we will be watching and waiting and, as you say, hoping.